Welcome to the Pet Friendly Growth Club. Today we have Kevin Luk on the show. He's based in Hong Kong. He is the co-founder of Woof². They do adorable toys for both dogs and cats, and I just love their design. They're available for sale in Hong Kong as well as on Amazon in the US. So if you haven't already, definitely check them out. It's like the cutest toys I've ever seen. What we're going to talk about is so interesting, especially for US brands who are not close to China. We rely on sourcing from the Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou area in the south of China for a lot of our products. It's a manufacturing center with really attractive prices. So it's really good for production, but it's something that is a bit of a pain for a lot of us who are based in the US with the time zone differences and just not being able to speak Chinese. So Kevin today is going to unveil the process for us, provide us with a super helpful framework for US brands. Do you want to start with an intro and how you got here?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. My name is Kevin, and I began my career in finance. Then 2 years ago, I quit my job and decided to go into this journey of doing pet products and more specifically pet toys and pet gift boxes. My passion was for human and pets to share the joy of together. So I think in Hong Kong, as well as other places, I think Instagram is like everyone's daily routine. And in Hong Kong, the consumers, they buy a lot of cute stuff. Could be toys, it could be pet clothes, anything that they just put it on Instagram. And that's how they share the moments with the pets. The culture here is pretty much similar to other Western countries anyway, like US or UK. I decided to create this brand. It's a pet gift box brand to start with. However, I think as time went past and then I went to different local markets to promote my brand, all these things, I've realized that especially in Hong Kong, consumers prefer single products rather than a bundled products. So then eventually I started designing all these pet toys that I have right now a year ago, and I started to learn Adobe Illustrators and things like that. I tried to design different things. And my edge, I think, being in a Hong Kong company, I think that's why my toys are themed towards the Hong Kong style. It could be street foods, it could be in Hong Kong, the Sha Tan Tang, like the local restaurants kind of themed. Right now, I'm doing a collection of Hong Kong public transports. I'm also doing like a Chinese style birthday cake for consumers to buy that as a toy, but then to take photos with the dogs, and not just like a traditional cake, but like a Chinese style one. So I think I put a lot of local elements into my toys, and in Hong Kong it's starting to get more and more traction because it's just something that is not as generic as, no offense, like a pizza toy or like a burger toy, right? So I think that people in Hong Kong loved it, and then going forward I think we'll do more of these kind of localized toys. The local elements are very important to me, and a lot of customers love that.
So you're catering to the pet parents who would dress their dog up, basically.
Exactly, yes. Apart from the food industry, the pet food industry, I think any other things is the owners first. Like you got to catch the eye of the owner, like pet clothes, even like accessories, toys, all these things. It's just obviously it's the owners who are buying stuff, right? So then I think in Hong Kong, as long as you're cute and have some kind of local element, people will support you. And also my company being a Hong Kong based or Hong Kong company, right? So that helps a little bit.
How did you get the inspiration behind this company and your first toy?
I always love cartoons. Like, I watch all the Disney cartoons, and I just love cartoons. When it all started, I wanted to incorporate cartoons into my brand, and cartoons have a very close relationship with being cute, right? And when I first started the business as a pet gift box business, I bundle everything with the same theme inside, so that those majority will be some cute toys. I think there's some cute toys out there, in Korea and even Japan. They do a lot of cute toys, but not necessarily localized ones, but then just very cute. Picture is just like a jelly cat of pet toys or pet company like that. When I start bundling all these together and then I drew cartoons like a card, I think it's so great. I just want to continue this path. I want to make something that's local and also cute at the same time. My first toy isn't that cute, to be honest. My first toy was a Hong Kong airmail letter toy. It's like a very nostalgic. When I was young, I see it all the time. This is more complicated because you don't see a lot of toys that have toys inside another toy. So my second toy was like a British post box. That is something that I see every day when I was a kid, because Hong Kong obviously colonized by the UK government until 1997. First two of these will be the more nostalgic, kind of like historic ones. But then the next two, which are way better, are toys that with smiley faces with different facial expressions. That would be the curry fish ball toy and also the egg waffle toy. And both of them are very localized Hong Kong street food. I think even if you don't know what Hong Kong egg puff or waffle is, you know what waffle is, right? The toy has two sides. One is puff, one is egg puff waffle. So there's like a one toy, but you can play it multiple ways kind of thing. So I think consumers love that kind of idea of like more complex toys. So right now I'm doing more street food ones. I'm doing like a pineapple bun toy, Hong Kong milk tea toy, like all these very localized ones. I'm doing these.
That's so cute. And I can already see so many opportunities for this to be adapted to other cultures too. There's unique foods that are specific to each culture. And this type of localization is something that a lot of you guys as a toy brand can do when you expand to different cultures.
Exactly. So think about doing something Singaporean right now. Every country has its own local element, right? It doesn't have to be food, right? It could be, like I said, when I'm doing a Hong Kong public transport collection. So it could be a US metro station style.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And as you're designing these products, how do you get your hunch that it might be a hit? Do you do any research before producing?
Yeah, well, first of all, the easy way to do a research is go out to all the pet stores. Just look out, what's out in the market, what the price range. You want to be on the higher price range, you want to be a lower price range, you want to be competing with price, you want to compete with design. So when I started my toy, I wanted to compete on not on the price. Like my price is on the premium side of dog toys.
What's the average price point of your toy?
It's about $20.
And then what is the average on the market?
I would say anything around 15. Yeah, because there are some toys that are very small, plushy. They could cost about, at least in Hong Kong, $10. The more expensive one would be pushing 20, but the egg puff toy I mentioned about is like 25 US dollars. For me, at least, it's still the best seller on Amazon. For foreign customers, it's still the best seller. In Hong Kong, it's also the best seller. So I guess it's a matter of which position you want to take, and my toys are more premium that way. The other research would be go into pet store, right? Before you start a product, like you want to build a product before you go into, just go into the pet store and just estimate how much space is put into each product. So like you see majority spaces would be food for sure. Then you see like pet accessories. But toys always occupying very small amount of space. And that means that if you want to estimate the market size, if you use that pet shop as global pet market, right? Pet toys are a very small part of it. When I decided to do the pet toys, I understand that already. I know that I'm be targeting a very niche market using very premium segments of the pet toys market, which is very, very niche. I would say that it depends how much conviction you have for your ideas. Because usually in the pet industry, a lot of companies, they cover a very large variety of products, not a very niche. But then what I want to do is pet toys provide me with the opportunity to be very creative. Because each toy, it could be the same material, it could be functionality, it could be similar, but then it can also be very different in terms of the look, it could be the design, everything. So this is why I wanted to do pet toys compared to like pet food, right? For me, pet food is more competitive in a way because the food is more or less the same. From a different farm, it could be a different formula, but then more or less the same. And it's very competitive because everyone says the food is like the best, and it's the most organic, it could be the healthiest. But then for toys, it's something different because you can add so much of your own element into it. And that's so same with like pet clothes or anything that you can input your own design into it. And that's something I really like to do. So that's why I started this.
It is a really fun space. You seem to be the brains behind the design. Are you drawing everything yourself?
No, I can't draw really, really well, but I did learn Photoshop, Illustrator, a little bit of Premiere Pro myself. At least when the designer send me something back, I can edit it a little bit. I understand how they drew that picture. My designer is not from Hong Kong. My designer is actually from Ukraine. I found him like 3 years ago before the war, and he did disappear for like 2 months, and I was so afraid. But then he told me that he lost all the internet and then he moved back. He's more onto Europe side. I found him through Fiverr and I really loved his art style. But the difficulties of working with him is not only the timeliness of the art, but also because he doesn't understand Chinese culture, right? He's from Ukraine. So sometimes the color tone and everything is very suitable for his region, but not for Asia. So I need to spend more time to explain to him. Sometimes I just do it myself. I edit all the colors and I edit some things myself. Back to the question, I don't draw everything. I did draw something, also do like greeting cards. I did spend like a whole night drawing like a corgi butt at the back of a card.
Okay.
So people can write a message on the butt.
That is very funny.
It's like a thank you card, but the thank you card is not nothing but thanks. It's going to be on Amazon soon, but not yet at the moment.
Oh wow, I am so excited. I feel like corgi parents, they're so obsessed with their dogs, and this would be the perfect greeting for them.
Because a lot of my customers, when they buy the gift, they would want to get a card as well. And then I will help them write their messages and then ship out wherever they want to send to. I have 8 or 9 styles of cards now. I have like a Valentine's, I have a Christmas, I've got birthday, some funny ones.
All right. It seems like a lot of it is a combination of you going to the pet stores yourself and checking out what there is and then identifying opportunities. But also a lot of it is coming from your own creativity. So when you might have an idea, you might sketch it, you might spend a whole night when you're inspired, and you also work with your designer on executing some of your ideas.
One thing I forgot to mention is if I'm talking to people who might want to but be interested in starting a pet business, is go to all these trade shows, B2C shows. I think majority we can go to B2C, right? So I think Hong Kong, I just participated in January, the B2C annual pet show. Over there, you can see so many different products that might interest you. I just came back from Tokyo, also the pet show there. I got so much inspiration from that as well.
Okay.
So that is one of the fastest way to see so many products in such a little
Yeah.
time.
My next question would be, now that you have the sketches, you have a designer to make it a reality on paper, how would you go about scouting different suppliers? I know you're working with one factory right now, but what would be your recommendation for somebody who's doing this for the very first time?
The first thing is, if you're aiming for Chinese ones, Alibaba.com is the best choice. Alibaba.com, you go there, it's all English. The staff there will reply you in English perfectly. You can see so many, let's say you type pet toys, for example, you see a huge list of products or pet toys that might interest you. And you click onto the toy that you wanted, they will show you, okay, what's the minimum quantity to buy, what's the price in US dollars, all quoted in US dollars. But for me, because at the beginning I didn't have huge orders, I can't buy like 500 units straight up, just one style, right? So then usually a lot of them would have accommodative policies where you can just buy 20, let's say, or 30. You can just buy and ship it to send an address to them. They will just ship it to you. They accept credit cards. They accept so many other forms of payments. Usually the first couple of times I would suggest you to go through the Alibaba payment, as in like you pay as if you're buying something with the credit card on the website. But eventually you don't need to. Eventually, once you get close to the factory, you can just contact them, sort out some other forms of payments, as in like WeChat or do bank transfer or things like that. The good thing about doing that is you save some money from the Alibaba.com platform fee. But the bad thing about it is Alibaba is supposed to reimburse you if something bad happens, like the shipment, the order, or something like that. So they're good and bad of doing both ways. But then I think the easiest thing for you is to go to Alibaba.com, search the products you want, go down, pick some products, just try out. And then let's say you got like a sample of 5 factories, right? You got 5 samples. And then you like the first one, you don't like the last one, for example. Then you focus on the first one and then you ask them for OEM. I think if you want going to find factories, you want to find OEM, right? A lot of them, I would say 95% would be having their own factories. Some of them are like a middleman. So they buy stuff from other factories and then they sell it as if it's their own. But it's very easy to filter. When you ask them, oh, can I come to your factory for a visit? If they say no for some garbage reasons, then you know it's probably not a proper factory, right?
That's a really good tip.
I've experienced some because I got many of my toys at the beginning stage from one factory. I think last year I wanted to have my own toys, OEM. They have given me so much garbage reasons not want me to visit. So I was like, I want to do OEM. Like you said, you can do OEM, but you don't let me visit your factories, and that's not okay.
Fishy.
Yeah, that's very fishy, right? So I went to the other one, and the other one just showed me everything. Again, I was a little bit lucky on that front because I went there. They were actually on a batch of products, and I see a lot of Winnie the Pooh. I was like, are you doing things for Disney? They were like, yes.
It's a high bar.
Yeah, don't take pictures. I was like, okay, I won't take pictures, but damn, Disney. Oh, I got the call. They actually told me that Disney outsourced all these toys to a few different factories throughout China. And each Disney branch, like Shanghai branch or US, they outsource differently. It's as if they're like a separate entity kind of thing. But then when I got there, I visited them and the feedback was good because I can see the whole process. I see so many workers working there. I see the office. I see so many products. I touch them. The biggest thing to go in the factory for site visits is to see whether they have safety procedures, to see what they do, because you don't want your products to come out and then something really bad happens and then your brand's gone in like 1 second because of some bad reputation. See all the Winnie the Poohs on all the toys. I say go through like an X-ray to search for metals inside plushies. Sometimes when you're meeting and things like that, something can fall inside. They do all these checks. They have like a weighing thing. But I think all these things would give me comfort. And I've been using their factories for like 2 years now. But I'm actually looking into other products somewhere currently. So then I will be probably visiting something else like Vietnam or some other places for other products as well. But if you can't do that, let's say you're in US, right? You can't just fly to China anytime. At least ask them to send pictures of the manufacturing process, pictures of the factory, how clean the factory is. At least you get an idea. So I think that's pretty much the best you can do. You can't just go there and visit with your myself. So
Or you can do a WeChat video call, which is so easy for the manufacturer nowadays.
yeah, they always do these trade shows where they do live video of their own products and things like that. So people will comment and ask. Nowadays China is like very tech savvy anyway, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting. You mentioned the Disney point. My family has a factory in the Shenzhen area, and they were actually wanting to upgrade their factory to be able to produce for Disney. And it was actually a very difficult process. So they've been doing revamps to their processes and upgrades to their assets for a year now. And then at the time of inspection, they actually failed the inspection. And this factory has been around in that area for more than 10 years. So it's actually a very established factory, but it goes to show how difficult it is. And now the inspector is saying you failed, but then these are the things that you need to improve, and then we're going to re-inspect next year. It's actually a very high bar.
Yeah. So I think finding a very good factory is very important, but sometimes you can't just visit all the factories in China. There's so many. That's why my advice would be go to Alibaba, find something that you really want, get some samples first, then you can narrow it down. Let's say you get 10, right? From one each from the factory and narrow it down. That's what I did.
So when you're ordering from these Alibaba suppliers, are you ordering something very similar so that you can have a very consistent comparison across them? And also, these are just samples, right? You're not actually ordering them to resell. You're just trying to test their quality, right?
It depends, because first of all, I only bought majority pet toys. They're all very similar. They're all using the same material, soft plush. I think you can either buy one for a really high price, or you can buy like 10 for a more reasonable but still considerably high price. At the time, I was thinking, okay, I might as well buy and sell it. So just to test the market as well. I did fulfill them on all those orders, but it depends, right? If your minimum order is 40, 50 units, then I'll probably just skip it. I just couldn't do it. But if it's like 20 or even 30, I think I can manage it. Because for me, I mean, for pet toys, it's good. It doesn't expire, right? It's a matter of time whether I can resell it. I mean, the money is just locked up in a way, but it's okay. It doesn't expire. That was the approach I went for.
Use Alibaba to order minimum quantities to test it out / sale, and then visit the select few factories that you really like out of that batch, and then decide to work with one or maybe a few depending on the quantity. So then once you get that quote for your first order, do they usually have a minimum order quantity, I'm guessing, of like 200, 300 minimum OEM wise?
Okay, usually on Alibaba, they try to lower the MOQ so that to entice you to click onto. You never buy straight up without talking to someone else. So you always click the product and talk to them. What's the MOQ? What's the price? And then you agree to it. Then they usually will send you a link. When you click that link, then everything is set up already. Then you just pay. Never just buy without talking to anyone. But sometimes they would do like one sample for $2, but it's actually fake. They just want you to click onto it so that make it so low, but then in fact it's not. So I think this is something you have to be aware of as well. But back to your question, right? How much was the minimum quantity? I can only speak from pet toys perspective, right? A lot of the factories' pet toys will be 1,000 units per style, but the ones I worked with is lower because they really want my business at the beginning, and then we continue to work really closely. So I think right now I can lower it to like 600 or 700, depending on the style.
Oh, that's actually higher than I expected.
Yeah, I did ask them whether, okay, would you do like lower quantity, but then the price will still make up for it? They say no, because it doesn't make sense for them to buy small amount of raw material. From the perspective of the factory, it doesn't make sense. Even they make the same amount of money, or they make a higher margin, they don't care.
And then do you try to negotiate their quote?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I think the best thing is to use competitors' quote. That's the best thing.
Okay.
For my toys, because it's hard to use that strategy or like tactics, because they know that not any factory can do this type of like high quality, complex dog toys that I have. So then on that front, I don't have that much bargaining power in terms of, the other factory is doing a certain price, because they know the other factories, they probably don't have that much capacity to do it. And also the fact that my factory is so good, they help me do so many other things that is not related to the actual toy. They help me to find supplies for like the packaging. So when I design the packaging, they help me to connect up. They help me to send to Amazon. They help me to think about my next design. So we actually have a constant conversation of, if I see something interesting, it's something that you can't put a price tag on. Even in Tokyo, Japan, I was like FaceTiming them and say, okay, look at this, look at that. Think about that, doing not copying, but then like same kind of concept. And they will tell me, okay, maybe just what kind of material this is, how much it's going to cost, and then you should do that. Yeah, we talk every day.
That is great.
I think nowadays for factories, you can't compete with price. It's also about services, right? And this kind of service makes me value the factory a lot as well. And then they get a really happy customer, just keep doing business with them. Also in the industry, I think for a lot of starters, for a lot of people who want to start pet business, you're probably not from pet business to begin with, right? So you need someone to guide you. The good thing is you have someone to discuss your ideas with, because sometimes you think about something, then the reality that doesn't work. From the factory perspective, they know instantly this doesn't work. Then you save you so much time to think about it. But also be careful of people can be a little bit manipulative. So just try to talk to different factories and adjust yourself.
In terms of pricing, I've generally heard that for both online and offline consumer retail products, we want to try to make sure our FOB, which is our product cost, and also considering transportation costs to whichever retailer's warehouse, all of that should really be 4 times cheaper than the sale price. Would you say that is true for you?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Would you try to go even lower, considering a lot of the revenue share with the retailers is around 50 to 60%?
If you can keep your costs lower, but then sometimes it doesn't make sense. And also in China, I'm not bad mouthing China, but if something is too hard to be true, then because especially you can't be there to monitor them, it could be a red flag if the price is too low, right? But I think as long as you make enough margin, then that's fine. I mean, if you're in US, unless you like shipping pallet by pallet, the transportation could be quite a huge chunk of your costs. And then if you add that into your manufacturing cost, design cost, everything, then you need at least 4 times, minimum 3 times. I will say 4 times the best of your cost to make sense. Because I think the 4 times rule is to retailers, right? Or wholesale, like to the end consumer, or is it to wholesale?
To whoever your customer is.
Okay, so let's say you have something $20, right, to the retail customers, and then you have a distributor, you have like a wholesaler. Like let's say also, you are my wholesaler. I sell my products to you, and you resell it to, let's say you own a pet shop, for example.
Yeah, then what I mean by 4 times is consumer price. So yeah, if you're retailing 20, then your cost should be 5.
Yeah, 5, and then usually what I do is I give you $10, and then you would sell $20, making 100% margin, and I would also make 100% margin if my cost is 5. I think everyone has a different way of doing it, but then for me, I think I tend to like provide more margin for the wholesaler because they take on the risk, and then they have to do marketing for me as well.
Okay, so other than your Amazon business, which I know you're selling through an agency, you also work with wholesalers to sell to these individual pet shops in Hong Kong.
Yes, I have to. I have no choice. I mean, when I started, it's all myself, like direct to consumers, but then too slow. First of all, Hong Kong is a crazy market where land so expensive, real estate so expensive. It doesn't make sense for me to start a shop, like a physical shop. So I need the power of other retail outlets to help me promote my brand. Some of them would be consignment, where when something is sold, then I get a larger share. For example, 60-40, right? So then something I sell for $100, I get 60, and then they get 40.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. Obviously, I prefer it the other way, which is wholesale. Yeah, I sell to about 30 to 40 retail outlets right now, like physical shops in Hong Kong.
Through how many distributors?
0. I go directly to the shops.
Do you try to focus on the pet shops that have multiple locations?
That's included as well, yeah. I don't have 40 different brands in Hong Kong. That will cover the whole Hong Kong market.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have shops that have 20 shops in Hong Kong, and then I do have like shops in like 3 Hong Kong. So it adds up to like 40.
And then you also have your own website, right? Which is still kind of like a Shopify website. Are you still investing in the direct-to-consumer marketing process, which is a big thing?
A little bit. No, I never had a huge budget to start with anyway. I did try some Facebook. I did have some Google. It didn't help that much. So I think for my strategy is to rather spend that money or use that money to do more products. And through my existing relationship with the partners that I already built with, then they would take my products and put them on the shelf. And then I would get more exposure that way. I think that is more suitable for me rather than just Google or Instagram, Facebook to force people to see my stuff. I think it depends on the stage of the company. I think for me right now, the current predicament I have right now is to not having enough products because I'll have like 5 or 6 enough toys for now. That's so low. In terms of like individual toys, obviously I have like gift boxes of different themes. I have like 10 themes of gift boxes. I can also allow customers to bundle their own boxes and then ship to their friends or whatever. But I think in terms of toys, my product offering is so low that it has been my pain point for like a while now. And that's why I'll be using these couple of months to try to pump up as much ideas and pump up as many actual designs for the manufacturer to manufacture. So I think I need to ramp that up. A lot of money right now for me is going into that. Marketing right now, it doesn't make sense at the moment because people have seen my stuff already. I think a lot of Hong Kong people have seen my stuff, right? Even when I do more marketing, people will be seeing the same stuff.
So you mean 5 products, you have 5 distinct designs, right?
Yes.
And then when you're ordering, do you order the minimum possible, which is around 700? And then as you see the performance, then you decide whether or not you want to do a larger order?
Correct. I usually do the minimum first to start with. But for example, the eggplant I ordered the most. Last Christmas, the first batch was 700. It got sold out so fast. And then at the end of December, I was like, damn, I don't have enough. I didn't expect me to sell so many of them,
That's a good problem.
I guess. But then, because it's end of December and it's obviously Christmas and New Year, and then in China, the year end in end of January, and the factory will be closed for like literally a whole month. And I have a pet show in end of January, right? So then I was like panicking, like, what should I do? Because I don't have enough. And then it takes like 1 month to make the toys, right? Place a really big order. I placed like 1,500 straight up, and I asked them to give me 300 units by the Chinese year, which is end of January, for my pet show as well. And then the rest, you can deliver them after the pet show. That was a little bit of a scary moment because it doesn't make sense for me to be in the pet show trying to sell products and I don't have any best products to sell. That was the first time I realized this is like inventory management has to be like so on point. You have to be so on point because you don't want to lock up so much of your money because of the lead time. When it depletes, you have to really closely monitor. So right now, for all my staff toys, I pretty much place replenishing orders in the 1,000s.
Yeah, the Chinese New Year thing is a good reminder too. So for a lot of brands that are based in the US or not familiar with the Chinese culture, Chinese New Year usually lasts around 2 weeks itself. But then usually the 1 week after, the factories have off too. 1 month of the year, they really get to relax. And when they say relax, really they're off.
Yeah, because the factory workers, they go back to their home. And bear in mind that even you are like shy to have an order like mid-December or even early December, because everyone's rushing for that line, you have to queue as well. So I think the best to avoid like way in advance, like 1.5 or 2 months in advance, just avoid that. Try to have your inventory up. Because even if they can do it for you, they'll be so rushed. You'll be on queue and then they will tell you, okay, I have capacity, but then not a lot. So if you have like 5 products you want to do, I can only do like 2 products.
So basically, top tip here is to try to get your order in Q4 and as early as possible to account for January, February.
Or after Chinese New Year.
Yeah, that's a good tip. And you mentioned that you got a lot of inspiration in the trade show. I often wonder, okay, if I go and display my products, could there be a concern around competition also seeing my products? And I think a real concern here is also to outsource to Chinese factory, which is a must. But then how do we also protect ourselves and our design against the factory maybe potentially helping other competitors?
This is something that I've been thinking about a lot before I start the brand, but I realized it's an open market, right? You can't stop people from copying you. Even if they copy you, if you have like a copyright, there's no way you're going to sue them unless you're paying money. You're not going to go through the legal process. Then I would say that if you have a product ready to launch it. For me, my products are pretty complicated in a way in the dog toys industry. So far, no one is copying me, and I'm not doing that great that everyone's copying me. But if you have something that can protect my IP, it's great. I have trademark in Hong Kong, still pending on US and China. But I did reach out to some lawyers on the IP rights. At least for pet toy, it doesn't make sense to apply for any of these because there's a design patent, there's also a packaging patent. But for one toy, two combined legal costs would be like maybe $1,200 US just for one toy, just the legal cost. And you have like 5 products there, so expensive.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm not going to sue them anyway. But in any case, there's some successful case where my factory manager, the one I really work closely with, showed me a story where there's a toy where it's like octopus, right? Where you can flip over and it becomes like another toy. It has such a huge hit, and the owner of the designer got the patent. And when all the Taobao fake starts to come out, he or she went to the court and forced the patent, and all the other ones closed down. Now, everyone who wants to buy that design had to buy from the original company. And it's actually a really good marketing thing because you get so many people buying your stuff and then people spread the word. So sometimes if someone copies your design, this doesn't necessarily mean the worst thing ever. You already have a head start, right? If someone copies your thing, they're living in your past, like a robot, like pet robot, takes a long time to build, then that's a different story. But then if you talk about these kind of pet products, then like copy. Yeah, I mean, ideas are all out there. You go to pet show, you look at something you really want to start to produce, and then you're copying them anyway, right? When you're tilting something, you're making the whole thing better, maybe, but you're copying it in some way, right?
I think that's a great perspective. We also looked into the cost of patenting our product, and in the US, it's around $10,000 just to get a patent out on one design. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So the lawyer was like, yeah, don't do it until you're making 100K minimum in revenue. I guess it's also a good way to test out different products, right? Like once you have different lines and then maybe one is like huge seller, then maybe it would make sense at some point. Speaking of design and rights, and you mentioned also you like cartoons. So do you ever have to check for rights or just to check a certain design is not owned by, some sort of cartoon company like Sanrio or something?
First of all, I mean, the cartoons that I had the Ukraine designer and egg puff is like common goods in a way, right? But I try to avoid different buildings or different design that can potentially violate this. I will just avoid. I was thinking about doing like the Olympic in Paris in a couple of months. I was thinking about doing like a pet toy with like a torch. I had that idea in mind. I drew it, but I was like, maybe it's not worth the risk because I don't have the official endorsement of Olympic, obviously. So I didn't go for it.
Would you ever actually do anything to check?
So far, my designs, I'm pretty sure I just go on the marketplace. I don't see anything similar.
Okay.
So I don't do like a search, like professional
Okay.
search. I don't do that.
Yeah.
But so far, I went into no issue.
You mentioned also that you were looking into producing in Vietnam. What would be the pros and cons of going beyond China? I know that the word on the street is China, obviously, with labor laws, it's getting more expensive. We're still very much reliant on producing in China. Have you had any success in Southeast Asia and why you picked Vietnam?
Let's take a step back. I think China, the technology there and everything is so good. I think for a beginner who wants to start business in pet, definitely go for China. It's a combination of cheap, relatively cheap still, and very good know-how. The reason I said Vietnam was to look into something completely different. I was thinking about doing some wood shoe, wood bone shoe kind of thing. So like from natural wood. I had a call this morning actually, and they got the wood from the highland Vietnam, and they export to like US. They sell on Amazon. They sell in European market, and they look great. I mean,
Yeah.
might as well have a look. And I think I always wanted to do something beyond soft plush toys. One of my close friends from LSE, Kevin, he has a golden retriever. And the boy loves to chew on wooden sticks. And when I started the brand, he asked me, "Oh, can you make some of these and buy from you?" But I never really had a chance to look into it because I was so focused on soft plushies. But then now I have built the knowledge of that. Then I always wanted to expand my offering. I was thinking about like finding some OEM on the wood chew. But I also have my own concerns with that as well. I went to Tokyo Pet Show and I saw some of it, but not a huge amount. Like the whole 3 halls, you only find one shop selling that. And that tells me it's not very popular. It's following the same methodology I mentioned about before, right? So it's something that I've been thinking about whether I should go into this market. But Vietnam is good. I went to Vietnam, I think 2 years ago. I didn't go there for business. I go there for leisure. But then it's already a lot better than before in terms of technology and things like that. There are certain things that I think Vietnam does better than China. For example, human clothes. But the only thing for me is a little bit difficult is the language. Obviously, I don't know Vietnamese, but I do know Mandarin. So in terms of like communication, it's better for me. But then if you're from the US, then it doesn't matter. Just use English.
Okay. Is there a Alibaba equivalent in Vietnam where you can do this preliminary filtering?
I don't know. I haven't really checked out that because this company I found by Googling and then looking at the website and reach out. I'm sure there's something similar, but then I need to look into it. Use Alibaba for China. Because that's already enough for you to start something. There's so many factories in China. So you don't need to look elsewhere.
Okay. You mentioned trade show earlier. What do you think are the best trade shows to meet suppliers?
In May, the biggest pet show is in the zoo in Germany. That's the twice a year. That's the biggest. I've never been, but this year I couldn't go, so I need to put away 2 years. In the US, the Super Zoo in Las Vegas in August will be something that for US really go for it. There's one in Orlando, I heard. These three will be the biggest pet shows, trade shows out there in the world, with Germany being the best.
So we can meet our suppliers in Vegas and they might be flying in from China.
Yes, Germany for sure. In Tokyo, I met some Chinese manufacturer. And I am actually in contact with them to see whether I want to do some products with them. In Asia, talking about pet shows will be the Singapore pet show in August. There is the Southeast Asia pet show in Thailand in October. Taiwan trade show is obviously in June. There's usually two. I went to one in Kaohsiung. That one was April last year. It's actually quite small, so I wouldn't recommend it. We go for Taipei one. And Shanghai Pet Show is pretty big as well, usually in August.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is a great opportunity also to travel the world. So lucky us as entrepreneurs, right?
That's what I did. My Tokyo Pet Show was like I wouldn't say an excuse, but it's half business.
Yeah.
As I went to watch F1 as well. So it's not really business. But then, yes, I did spend a day in Pet Show, and then I spent like half a day driving to different biggest pet stores in Japan. Compare that to Hong Kong pet stores and see what's the difference in the price in terms of product offerings, things like that. Yeah, it's very good intel. Recommend everyone to do it.
Right. And all of these shows are happening in really fun countries and cities, so there's no reason to not go.
Yeah, so I am thinking about going to October Singapore. I'm 90% going. In end of October in Thailand, I'm probably going to go as well.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
So how are toys actually made? Are they handmade or do they have machines that can make your specific design?
Well, but majority will be handmade. All these sewing thing is handmade. When I went there, I saw a factories of like 50 workers and they're all sewing things.
Okay, so the only machine component is when they're like dyeing and cutting the big pieces of cloth, but then when they're actually making into the shape, it's all sewn.
I think the outline and everything is the cloth and machine. They're not machine. But then we talk about like, let's say my toy, right? They have like faces sewn into it.
That is incredible.
I think it's still a little bit backwards. I think they should be able to do automations, but maybe it depends on the factories.
Okay, so my biggest fear around that, because our memorial products are all mostly handmade too, because I know this because it's the family factory. They have trouble hiring and maintaining the next generation of craftsmen. It's like such an outdated thing. Nobody in China, at least nowadays, wants to work in a factory setting anymore. Like nowadays, they're all about the corporate jobs. So I'm like, oh shit, like now I gotta look beyond, maybe in Southeast Asia for the next generation of craftsmen.
You're right. I haven't thought about that before, to be honest. But yeah, maybe just shift to Vietnam or somewhere like Thailand. I think Thailand is a market where there's very good business opportunities from what I heard, right? But I still wouldn't put my bet on them yet because I still have China. But if I don't have China, then the next one will be maybe Thailand or Vietnam.
Okay, that's good to know. As we're wrapping up this session, I want to help us end with some fiery rounds, which is really fun. Just quick questions, quick answer off the top of your head. And there's no right answer. So the first one is, how are you using AI in your company, if at all?
Usually on IG captions.
Okay.
IG post captions. Yeah.
And then how do you think AI is going to change your industry?
If you be specific than pet toys, then maybe not so much. If I continue a little bit more, but because like importing toys or any product factories that's on Amazon, all these things will be a lot more difficult than without. Especially for pet toys, you need like a computer thing or like a chip or whatever in the toy, and then that's cost choking hazard. Right? So then naturally you wouldn't put anything that's too high tech for the pets anyway. So on that product front, maybe not. But then maybe from the designing front, maybe yeah.
Yeah, getting more inspiration from DALL-E and other art generating AI. Okay. Cool. What keeps you up at night other than the SKUs?
Well, my business right now, my biggest problem every night is like, how do I speed up the manufacturing process? I say the idea generation and having more products. And that's because right now that's the biggest pain point.
Yeah, got to ship those toys out.
Yeah.
And cats got to play.
I'm trying to make cat toys as well.
Oh, that would be so fun. I'm really excited. I still need to order your product on Amazon. So I'm ordering like 4 of your products, right? And then you're ordering 1. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Kevin. Super informative, especially for the US businesses that are looking to source better and more efficiently.
Hopefully it helped.
This is some insider tips. So I can't wait to have you back. I really want to talk more as you expand your product. Your creativity is really interesting.
Thank you very much.